Crikey. What's that slithering thing? It's a legless lizard. G'day, wildlife warriors. Have you ever been out in the bush, or even your own backyard, and seen something long and slithering and thought, snake? Well, hold your horses, mate, because it might not be a snake at all. It could be one of nature's sneakiest little critters. The legless lizard, that's right. A lizard without legs. These fellas are true lizards. Through and through, they've just decided legs are overrated. Evolution is a funny old thing, isn't it? It can take a normal four-legged lizard and over millions of years say, nah, you don't need those legs anymore. What an absolute marvel of adaptation, a true surprise package in the animal kingdom. Now these little blighters didn't just wake up one morning and find their legs missing. Oh no, this was a super-duper slow process happening over countless generations, millions and millions of years. Can you even imagine that timescale? Their ancient ancestors, way back in the dinosaur days perhaps, had perfectly good legs, just like any other lizard you might see scurrying about. But nature, she's a clever old girl, and she figured out that for some lizards, living a slithery life, burrowing through soil or gliding through thick grass, legs just got in the way. So bit by tiny bit, those legs got smaller and smaller until whoosh, they were gone, or maybe just tiny little stubs left behind. It's all about surviving and thriving. What a beautiful process. So you're probably scratching your head thinking, but Steve, if it looks like a snake and moves like a snake, why isn't it a snake? That's a top question, you little beauty. It's all down to something scientists call convergent evolution. That's a big fancy term, but it just means that different animals can end up looking really similar if they live in similar ways or face the same challenges. Both snakes and these legless lizards found that a long, streamlined, legless body was just the ticket for moving through tight spaces, hunting down tucker, or escaping predators. So, Mother Nature gave them a similar design, even though they come from different branches of the reptile family tree. Isn't that incredible? Imagine this. You're on an adventure, deep in the Aussie outback, or maybe just exploring a local park. You see a flash of movement in the undergrowth, long, scaly, and no legs in sight. Your first instinct might be danger, snake, and your heart might just do a little pitter-patter. But hang on a second, take a breath, and look a little closer, because you might be looking at one of these fantastic legless lizards. These masters of disguise are out there, living their secret lives, often misunderstood and mistaken for their serpentine cousins. The world is full of amazing surprises, and these lizards are definitely one of them. So keep your eyes peeled, you never know what wonders you'll discover. Spot the difference, you beauties, lizard versus snake. All right, let's get down to the business end. How to tell these little tricksters apart from a genuine snake. This is important stuff, wildlife warriors. First up, and it's a biggie, eyelids. Snakes, those magnificent hunters, they don't have movable eyelids like you and me. Instead, they've got a clear see-through scale called a brill that protects each eye. That's why they always look like they're staring, always alert. But our legless lizard mates, most of them have proper eyelids and they can blink. Yes, blink. So if you see that slithery critter give a little blink, chances are very high you're looking at a legless lizard, not a snake. What a simple clue, eh? Next up on our detective list, ears, or rather external ear openings. Snakes don't have them, not on the outside anyway. They hear in a super clever way, mostly by feeling vibrations through the ground and their jawbones. It's a fantastic system for sensing tiny movements from prey or danger approaching, but legless lizards, being true lizards, often still have little external ear holes. You might have to get down for a really close look, as they can be quite small and hidden by scales. But if you spot a tiny opening on the side of the head just behind the eye, that's another tick for Team Legless Lizard. It's another one of those lizardy features they kept. Now let's talk about tongues, because that's another fascinating difference. Snakes are famous for their deeply forked tongues, flicking in and out, constantly tasting the air. This helps them find their way, locate food, and even find a mate. It's like their personal GPS and dinner detector all in one. Legless lizards, on the other hand, usually have a broader, flatter tongue. It might be slightly notched at the tip, but it's generally not as deeply forked or as delicate as a snake's tongue. Also, think about how they move. While both slither, legless lizards often have a slightly stiffer body compared to the incredible flexibility of many snakes. These subtle differences all add up. And here's a truly amazing trick that most legless lizards have up their, well, non-existent sleeves. They can drop their tails. This is called caudal autonomy, and it's a brilliant defense mechanism. If a predator, like a bird or a fox, grabs them by the tail, pop, the tail breaks off and keeps wiggling around, distracting the attacker while the lizard makes a swift getaway. Don't worry, they can usually grow it back, though it might look a bit different the second time around. Snakes can't do this. If their tail is damaged, it's a serious injury. So a detachable tail is a massive clue that you're looking at a lizard, not a snake. Crikey, nature is clever. Amazing legless wonders, and where they hang out. Righto, let's meet some of these incredible legless champions from around the world. First up, there's the European glass lizard, also known by the cracker name Sheltopusik. This fella can get pretty big, sometimes growing over 1 meter long, which is why folks often mistake them for snakes. They're found in parts of southeastern Europe and Western Asia. They get the name glass lizard not because they're see-through, but because their tail is super fragile and can break off easily if they're threatened, almost like shattering glass. These tough critters love to munch on snails, slugs and big insects, making them great pest controllers in their neighborhood. What a magnificent creature. Then you've got the slow worm, a real little beauty, common across Europe and into Asia. Now don't let that name fool you. They're not worms, and they're not always slow, especially if they need to make a quick escape. These are true legless lizards, often with smooth, shiny skin that can be grey, brown or even a coppery colour. They're much smaller than the glass lizard, usually only about 1 foot long. Slow worms are completely harmless and are fantastic friends to have in your garden because they absolutely love to eat slugs and snails. They like to hide under rocks, logs or in compost heaps, keeping cool and out of sight. Such gentle, beneficial little animals, and we can't forget an Aussie original, the Burton's legless lizard. What a little legend, found right here in our own backyard all across Australia. These guys are just fascinating. They have this really pointy, wedge-shaped snout, which is perfect for burrowing into loose soil or leaf litter, hunting for their tucker. And get this, they are incredible mimics. Some of them have patterns and behaviors that make them look a bit like some of our venomous snakes, which is a super clever way to tell predators, back off, mate, I might be dangerous. They mostly prey on other small lizards, using their specialized jaws to grab them. A true blue Aussie survivor. So, where do all these different legless lizards like to hang out? Well, they're a diverse bunch, living in all sorts of habitats. Many of them absolutely love places with plenty of cover, like dense grasslands, woodlands with lots of leaf litter, or heathlands with thick shrubs. This cover helps them hide from animals that might want to eat them, and it also helps them sneak up on their own prey. Some species are fantastic burrowers, spending a lot of their time underground, while others prefer rocky areas where they can shelter in crevices. From the cool forests of Europe to the dry scrublands of Australia, these legless wonders have found a way to thrive. Understanding these little diggers. Why, it's crucial, mate. Now, you might be wondering, Steve, why is it so important to know all this stuff about legless lizards? That's a beaut question. Well, first and foremost, it's about preventing misunderstandings that can lead to these harmless creatures getting hurt. If you see something slithering and your first thought is snake, especially if you're a bit nervous about snakes, you might panic. Sadly, this sometimes means people might try to harm or kill what they think is a dangerous animal, when it's actually a perfectly harmless, legless lizard just trying to live its life. By learning to spot the difference, those eyelids, those ear holes, that less forked tongue, you can identify them correctly and leave them be. Knowing about legless lizards also opens up your eyes to the sheer, mind-blowing variety of life on our planet, what we call biodiversity. Every single species, no matter how big or small, how furry or scaly, plays an important role in its ecosystem. Legless lizards are a perfect example of nature's incredible creativity and its power of adaptation. They show us that evolution can take animals down some really surprising paths to help them survive and thrive in their environment. When we take the time to learn about these unique animals, we start to see all the amazing connections in the natural world, and that makes our world a much richer and more exciting place, doesn't it? These fantastic legless lizards also give us a brilliant lesson in convergent evolution. Remember, we talked about that. How different animals can end up looking similar if they live in similar ways. It's just amazing. It shows that even though lizards and snakes started out on different evolutionary paths, the pressures of their environment, needing to move through tight spaces or burrow underground, led some of them to develop a very similar body plan: long, slithery, and no legs. It's like nature has a toolbox of great ideas, and sometimes it uses the same tool for different jobs. Understanding these patterns helps us piece together the incredible, sprawling puzzle of life on Earth. What a journey! So, the next time you're out exploring, whether it's in the deep wilderness or just your own garden, keep your eyes peeled for these little champions. Remember what makes them special, what makes them lizards, not snakes. They are unique, incredible creatures, and they're a vital part of our natural heritage. Let's be their voice. Let's educate our friends, our families, everyone we can about these often misunderstood animals. The more people who understand and appreciate legless lizards, the safer they'll be. We need to protect their homes, their habitats, and give them the space they need to live their lives. Let's all be wildlife warriors for the legless lizards. Crikey, they're counting on us.